Hey, what's up everybody? This is Nightwing2303 from SneakerFiles.com on court. Today we're coming at you with another performance review, and today's review is on the Nike Zoom Rookies. These didn't make it onto last year's top 5 performance video because I had a couple of different sneakers. I had the top 5 and then I had runners up and most innovative. If I would have had the most disappointing, this would have been it. You know, it's hard to explain. I'll try to do my best during the review, but just, bear with me, and I'll try to get this done without wasting too much of your time. So let's get right into it. Alright, so as usual, start off with the bottom of the shoe here. As you can see, there is full-length herringbone pattern. Typically herringbone works best, not always. The Adidas Crazy 8s, they didn't have the best traction. On certain court conditions, and same thing goes with these guys here. 90 style shoes, they have traction that is laid into the sole. I think I have one, or actually, so usually you'll have the surface here, and it's just a flat surface, then you have your herringbone inside of that surface. Brands have been doing a good job at modifying herringbone, which is what, like these here, these are, what are these, the CP3.5s. You can see where the herringbone actually comes out and off of the shoe, where the herringbone is the outsole. So with that, I think that is the best way to go with herringbone nowadays. Not to say that this type of stuff doesn't work at all, but the other way works a little bit better. So mostly for dusty courts, like perfectly clean floors, this traction worked perfectly fine. There was no complaints whatsoever. Some of the dustier courts that I play on, it just really wouldn't keep up on a side standpoint. So from front to back, it was perfect. But if I'd curl or go around a screen, or even do some sort of crossover or fast-paced maneuver, changing direction, this wouldn't keep up perfectly well with me. But that's, like I said, just because of certain court conditions. It's not necessarily all the traction's fault, whereas the other type of traction where it's actually the entire outsole is traction. There's no interior base traction like this, like that right there. That just works better for most court conditions overall, where this stuff is better used on very clean floors, or decently kept floors at least. So traction wasn't horrible depending on condition, but overall could have been a little bit better. But they took a lot of styling from the previous models, the Airflight 1 and the Ergo LWP. So in that sense, it does make sense. So the cushion of the shoe was one of the areas that I thought was pretty darn disappointing. For a $200 sneaker to have very little to no cushion at all was very surprising. For those of you that only watch the videos, I have a lot more information on these shoes, and all the shoes basically that I performance tested. Not all of them, but most of the more recent ones. I have write-ups that are on SneakerFiles.com/oncourt. So every time I get a new performance shoe, I take a lot of pictures, detailed pictures. I break down the shoe with my first thoughts and impressions, hence the title, First Impression. And those ones, basically I outline everything what I think, how the shoe might perform, how it feels, things like that, just from a basic try-on. So a lot of this stuff is already posted in that post. But basically, if you have not checked out those posts, the only thing that these things come with is a very thin, small zoom bag in the heel, which I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see it. But again, I took pictures, and they're on Sneaker Files on court. But in the heel here, there's just a thin, rectangular shaped zoom bag. It's a lot different than any other zoom bag that I've seen, and that's pretty much it. There's no forefoot zoom. There's nothing. It's really firm in the front as well, so it feels very slappy when you're transitioning, like real clunky kind of thing. And it just, it wasn't all good. It was actually really bad, and it hurt my feet a lot. The insole was pretty basic. It was just your basic foam foam insert, nothing too special about it. And I tried to help the cushioning by putting in an Ortholite insole, which that didn't work either, because basically Ortholite's real spongy, so when you put your foot into it, you kind of sink into it a little bit. And so when I put those in, I was able to feel this carbon fiber like arch just shoving right into my foot. So I had to just use the insoles that they came with. But you know, I'm going to be nice and rate this shoe at least a 1 or a 2 with the cushion, just because there is zoom air in there, but it's only in the heel, and it wasn't enough to where you can actually feel it, at least not to me. And then there was absolutely nothing in the forefoot. I mean, $200, you know, come on, like that's insane. Foam posits cost well, now they're going to be costing $220, but you know, foam posits costed $200, and they had full length zoom. So, like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand, dude. Like, what went wrong here in the design process? Like, why is there nothing in the forefoot? Like, it was so uncomfortable. It's ridiculous. So, cushion was just really lacking all the way around. The heel zoom airbag was super thin, oddly shaped. I've seen them before, but like, you know, I don't own a pair other than these that actually had that type of bag in it. Yeah, I mean, it was not good. Cushioning was horrible. So purely disappointed. Like, seriously. So material and the fit, both of these things, like basically materials I thought were awesome. Fit I thought was just really horrible. I'll start off with the materials themselves. So we have your basic, you know, translucent outsole. You have your carbon fiber, just like in the foam posit. Then you have strategically placed foam posit material, or the shell, in the forefoot here, and it goes all the way around to the medial side, and then it breaks off in the center, and you have that foam posit in the collar and the heel area. So all of the rest of the shoe is your basic foam posit nubuck that you would see in all other foam posit shoes. Your inner boot sleeve, which is mesh, and then some more nubuck and things like that. And then you also have these little pods that are that were placed on the Airflight 1. So materials were perfectly fine in my opinion. You know, the foam posit definitely conforms to your foot. It's quite possibly the most durable material that's out there. This stuff can take a beating like no other. Like, I mean, I'm serious. These shoes, they have scuffs on them. You could barely see them even in person. I think the other one has a little bit more damage, which you're probably not going to be able to see because the material is so shiny. But you know, there's just scuff streaks all over the sides, the forefoot, especially the instep here, and things like that. So the material itself could take a beating, which I like. So $200 for a shoe that is completely durable, like a boot, that's not bad. The mesh is fairly decent. You know, the inner sleeve does keep your foot locked in, which was nice. And then the nubuck is also good because it helps with the flexibility of the shoe. So materials I thought were fine. As far as the fit goes, the left shoe fits fine. The right shoe, however, this pod here, and I tried everything. I tried thick socks, thin socks. I wore these things every day in the house until, you know, before I'd go out on court with them and things like that, just to try to get them to loosen up. I couldn't do it. This pod just kept shoving itself into my foot, and it was very uncomfortable. The right shoe, when I would wear it on court, basically they would practically be untied. I mean, it would be the loosest type of feeling or fit that you can ever do on a shoe that you're actually playing in, which is something that I don't recommend. But that was the only way that I was able to play with these comfortably, was to basically not tie the forefoot and just tie the last two eyelets up top, just so I can get a little bit of ankle lockdown or heel lockdown. So, you know, the fit, it is true to size in my opinion. I went with my regular size 9, but it was just so, like, uncomfortable. Like, I just can't explain it. Once the material, the foam, molds to your foot, that's all great, especially in the heel, because when you first start out with these, the lockdown is not all there in the back, but once it molds to your foot, it's not that bad. But I just couldn't hang with them. So breathability and ventilation is really self-explanatory. The only area on the shoe that is breathable is the tongue, and that's actually a necessary thing. Otherwise, the foam-posite material won't be able to mold to your foot without all that moisture and that heat. So in this particular shoe, you don't really want too much ventilation. Any foam-posite material or foam-posite based sneaker, you don't want too much ventilation. Otherwise, it's going to be really it's going to take a long time for the material to do what it's supposed to, which is mold to your foot, give you that kind of like custom one-to-one fit. So breathability from a normal standpoint wasn't great, but as far as it being a foam-posite sneaker, this is exactly what it needed. So I don't have much criticism for it, because it's one of those like necessary evil type things where it's foam-posite, so it needs very little breathability. As far as the shoe being supportive goes, it's pretty darn supportive. You have a midfoot carbon fiber piece, and or shank goes all the way to the midfoot and then onto the medial side here. You can feel this, especially right here, a little bit on this side. I think so. On the lateral side it's small, and then on the medial side it's large. Where on a foam-posite sneaker it's the other way around, where at the arch of the foot it's a fairly small one, and then it gets larger on the lateral side to kind of like cage that foot in for lateral support. So this one's a little bit of a backward setup. You could feel it, like I said, so it wasn't like the greatest thing, but it did offer support. And then the pods that were on there, while they were, especially this one, was painful. Again, that's just a little bit extra support. Doesn't necessarily need to be there, but it's a design piece as well, because it is a hybrid, so they were on there for that specific reason as well. Foam-posite in general, it's a supportive material. You wouldn't really need too much extra or accessories with these, like an ankle brace and things like that, just because the material is so rigid. Once it's laced up, it's not really going anywhere. So support in the shoe is pretty darn nice. It's definitely not bad, but it's pretty much what you'd expect in something that's a foam-posite
Alright guys,
base.
so that pretty much takes care of the review on the Nike Zoom Rookie. There's quite a few things that I really did like, but there was just so much that I just was disappointed with, especially with the price point. I don't know, it was just disappointing. Like, you see Penny rocking these on court. I know that Penny's kind of old now, but like, still, he was running up and down in these things, so I don't know if he got like special pairs made specifically for him, and we got retail versions, or I don't really know. But the sportwear box that it came in should have been an indicator. Usually the performance stuff comes in an orange performance box from Nike. However, I've seen people rock foam-posites, Air Penny 1s, Penny 2s, things like that on the court, Penny 3s, and they've all come in sportwear boxes too. So they don't really skimp too much on the performance tech in those. They still have like the Penny 1s and 2s, they still have the heel airbag, and then the Zoom Air in the forefoot and all that kind of stuff. The materials might be a little bit lesser in quality, but everything that used to be there is still in place. Whereas these, they're just lacking in so many areas, even though there's so much stuff on here that pushes it towards a performance sneaker. So $200, if you feel like that's worth it, that's cool, as far as like a casual shoe goes. But $200 and this be considered a performance shoe, it's just not. So this is definitely one of the most disappointing sneakers I've probably played in quite some time. So I was actually really hyped up about playing in these. I thought that these were going to be fantastic, but I was wrong. So but it is what it is, and hopefully if they make any more and they actually like make them their campaign for marketing actually pushes towards that performance market. Hopefully they actually perform well. That was probably the thing that was most disappointing, is that Nike made everything look like these were going to be performance sneakers when they weren't. It's kind of like false advertising, at least in my opinion, or that's how I took it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for putting up with this review. This was one of those reviews where I was just kind of like not sure if I should keep going with it. It was hard enough just to play with them on court. They hurt my feet a lot and all that stuff. So. But I really appreciate all the support, all the comments, the feedback, and all that stuff. And make sure that you check out SneakerFiles.com/oncourt. That's where all of this type of stuff is going to be at. So you can go there, you can see teasers and all kinds of different stuff. So thank you guys again, and until next time, guys.